Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're comparing two BMW M cars head to head to see which one is better to drive for sub $50,000 on the used market. We're currently sitting in a 2020 BMW M2 Competition F87 generation with a 6-speed manual transmission, barely modified, just some exhaust mods. And we're comparing it against a 2009 BMW E92 M3, also with a 6-speed manual, with a few more mods. Market values of an M2 comp right now are somewhere in the $45,000 to $55,000 range. For $45,000, you'd probably be looking at a higher mileage DCT car, whereas a really mint one with a manual will be closer to $55,000. Whereas an E92 M3 has a much wider range of market values depending on mileage and condition. On average, I've seen them go for somewhere around $30,000 to $40,000. This particular example, because it's very clean and it's a manual and it's a slick top without iDrive, probably closer to $40,000. So if you add the cost of the mods that the owner put on, you're basically looking at M2 Competition money. So which one is the better car to drive? That's the question. So Chris, the owner of this, has only put on a couple of exhaust mods, an active Autowerke equal length midpipe and an axleback exhaust. So we're powered by the 3-liter twin turbocharged inline-6 engine, S55 engine code, making 405 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque. It revs to 7,600 RPM. This car weighs around 3,600 pounds, which is roughly 50 pounds lighter than the DCT version. We have strut front suspension, multi-link rear, and in my opinion, stock versus stock, this is the much better car than a base F87, mostly because of the engine. It revs much higher, it builds in power towards the top, and it sounds better. But that's not what we're here to focus on. We are going to talk about how this compares to the E92. Ooh, that's a sparkly startup with this active Autowerke exhaust setup. So like the base M2, the M2 Comp has one annoying nuance. If you want to turn off the auto rev match, you have to fully disable traction control. And then we'll put it into M2 mode, which Chris has set to be Sport Plus for the engine and Sport Plus for this electric power steering rack. Of course, it's all just artificial weight to the rack, but that's how things are nowadays. Interior is very nice. It feels modern. It feels relatively high quality. We don't have that connected display for the gauges and the infotainment like the new cars. But the highlight of this car is that S55 engine. Just love the way this engine builds in power towards the red line, despite being twin turbo. Oh, this car is still so fast. Even compared to the G87, this doesn't feel slow. The G87 is faster, but this car is lighter. This S55 engine does make farting sounds on occasion. Wow. The front end is very darty. The steering ratio feels quick. The steering is pretty numb though, not much feedback at all coming through the wheel. And in Sport Plus, it's heavy, but doesn't really load up in weight mid-corner. It's just always heavy. The steering is not a strong point of this car. The engine absolutely is. And this suspension, remember, no adaptive dampers until we got the M2 CS. It feels pretty good. It feels more planted compared to the base F87. The brakes on the M2 Competition are also huge. You can't actually fit 18-inch wheels to this, so you're stuck with 19s and up. Just feels like it has a short wheelbase. It wants to turn so eagerly. The mid-corner feel of this car is slightly nervous, in my opinion. Doesn't feel as stable as some of the longer wheelbase M cars. Part of that could be due to the higher center of gravity of this car. It also sits a little bit higher than some of the older M3s, but it does give it a very lively handling balance. Always feels like it's up on its tippy toes. In some sense, you could argue that the F87 comp is a little bit overpowered. I would love to drive one of these with proper suspension, wheels and tires, brakes. It would be an absolute animal on track. But even in stock form, it's so capable. It's just not the most beginner-friendly car to drive quickly, I would argue. The power does come on a little bit abruptly if you're not used to, obviously, turbo lag. But as long as you keep it above about 4,000, you have still 3,600 revs to play with and pretty good response. I wish the steering had more feedback though. It is fairly precise and the on-center feel is good. It's just that mid-corner feel that's lacking, and no information about the road surface comes through either. Very quick responses from this car. It just wants to get going at all times. It wants to be pushed. Oh my goodness, the gearing's pretty long. And because the red line's so high, you feel like you're just in gear forever before shifting up. I'll be curious to see once I hop into the E92 how that engine compares, because on paper they make very similar peak power, but as we all know, BMW underrates their turbocharged engines significantly. I wouldn't be surprised if this is making something like 440 to 450 at the crank. This car is so fast out of the box. It feels like a little bulldog, powerful and playful at the same time. I love the character of this car. I just think it could use some mods to improve the handling. A little bit more stability would be definitely appreciated. But with that, time to hop into one of my favorite M3s of all time and see if the older car is still the better driver's car. All right, we're now in the 2009 BMW E92 M3, one of my favorite M cars of all time. This one is very, very tastefully done. The owner, Dennis, has put some very nice mods on it. Full list in the video description. Ohlins road and track coilovers just off the shelf. Dinan camber plates. Stoptech ST40 Trophy big brake kit front and rear. BBS E88's Schirmer spec. BMW M Performance exhaust, which I really appreciate because exhaust is not that loud, but we've got the right intake mods to open up the sound from inside the cabin. So we have an AFE carbon intake, carbon project, carbon intake plenum, and we've got a BMP Stage 1 tune. In terms of the interior, we've got this Renown 330mm steering wheel. It feels really good, but it just ever so slightly blocks the top of the gauges. If it were me, I would have gone with a 340 or 350mm. And we have this RTD chassis mounted shifter, which replaces the stock rubbery BMW shifter, which, by the way, is a problem in that BMW M2 Comp as well. Not a problem, I should say, but it's just something where you try a Porsche, you try a Honda, you try most other performance cars with a manual, and the BMW falls short in terms of shift feel. This car weighed in at 3,360 pounds with a half tank of fuel, 200 to 300 pounds lighter than the F87 Competition. So let's see how this drives. So we're powered by the S65 engine. It's a 4-liter naturally aspirated V8, 414 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque. It revs to an astonishing 8,300 RPM, so 700 RPMs higher than the S55 and then M2 Comp. And of course, we've got good old-fashioned hydraulic steering. Now that is the best sounding BMW M engine ever, at least in an M3 or M2. And from inside the car, although it is significantly muffled versus outside or with the window cracked, it still sounds so good because of that induction sound. And with these mods, the intake just gives you that little bit more vibration, just coursing through your veins. And this steering feel definitely is superior to the F87 Comp. It's not the best hydraulic rack in the world, a Porsche 997 has better steering in terms of the way it loads up and actually the feedback about the road surface, but this is definitely good. Maybe the best steering M3 generation. The Stoptech brakes feel so good. Lots of initial bite. Still easy to modulate. And here's the difference. It's more stable mid-corner. It doesn't feel as lively or up on its tippy toes. It's more planted. And I think that's partly just the inherent dynamics of the car, regardless of mods. And getting back on the throttle coming out of corners, I have more confidence because there's no such thing as turbo lag here. I always know what I'm gonna get from the engine based on what I do with my right foot. Oh yeah, this feels so good. Oh, so confidence inspiring. Ooh, nice E46. Oh yeah, the steering's loading up nicely in the corners here. Amplified by this aftermarket steering wheel, of course. Stock BMW M car steering wheels are just too thick and heavy in my opinion, to the point where they dull the steering feel. Listen to that S65 sing. This RTD shifter is high effort, but it's worth it. Compared to that stock BMW shifter, this is so much more mechanical and tight. I feel way more confident in this car compared to the M2 Comp. And again, stock versus modded, that is definitely part of it. But I've driven stock E92s as well, and I think it still holds true that this is the more confidence-inspiring car. It doesn't have that crazy straight line surge of torque that the M2 Comp gives you, but that's okay because I prefer the feeling of this instantaneous throttle response and the predictability of it as well. Oh, DSC kicking in there. This is a car you can absolutely steer with your right foot. So is the M2 Competition, but again, the spikiness of that M2 Comp makes it just much less approachable. This car, you always know what you're gonna get. Lower learning curve, but the reward when you get it right is still very high. And the sound of this engine, unbelievable. Getting a little bit of vibration in the brake pedal now. Could be a warped rotor. Although with Stoptechs, that'd be very surprising. Maybe it's just pad deposit. Wow. Nothing beats the S65 in terms of engine sound. And I love that this one, again, has a pretty tame M Performance exhaust, but has the intake mods to give the driver and passengers the sound. It's pretty clear between these two examples which one I prefer. Of course it's gonna be the E92. And if they were stock, maybe that would be different, but I'm not sure. Oh man. When it comes down to it though, this is the more pure driver's car. And with the money you save on a stock example versus an M2 Competition, you can throw that money into mods like Dennis did with this one. I think he said his total cost, car plus mods, around $50,000. And it's honestly not that much worse as a daily. The interior actually, if anything, feels slightly better built. Of course, you don't get the tech, but at the same time, a 2020 M2 doesn't have the best tech either. So you can always retrofit an infotainment if you want. But E92 M3, this just solidifies this for me as definitely my top 2 favorite M cars ever, between this and the E46. Not that I've driven everything yet, but out of the ones I've driven, it's pretty clear cut what numbers 1 and 2 are. M2 Comp has its own personality because of that turbocharged engine, because of the lively, up on its tippy toes handling dynamics. But for me, I like stability, I like confidence, and I like the ability to adjust what the car is doing using my inputs and always knowing what I'm gonna get. And because of that, this E92 M3 wins this comparison. A big shout out to the owners Chris and Dennis. Let me know what you think of this comparison. Which would you have for your $50,000? Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.